Yeah, what up, y'all? Just want to give a big shout out for Black August. This is the revolutionary month for our people and our plight, from Nat Turner to Conrad George, Soul Dad Brothers. But today is Jonathan Jackson's birthday. Not his birthday, but his death day. This is the day that he was killed trying to bum rush the courthouse and shoot his brother's way to freedom through the courthouse. That didn't turn out too well for him. He died, a judge died, 2 other people died, rest their souls. But I want to just commemorate revolutionaries, man. John Jackson, he was the younger brother of George Jackson. George Jackson was one of the Soul Dad brothers. It was 3 Soul Dad brothers. It was George Jackson, it was John Couchette, and Fleta Magumba. It was somebody like that. But anyway, they were the original BGF members. They was the first founders of BGF. I know a lot of y'all heard about BGF and like it's a gang, but nah, this was a revolutionary movement for our people. It was an extension of the Black Panther Party. It was almost like the Black Panthers with the elders and the BGF was the younger guys. They was the other up-and-coming Panther members. And they was taught to revolutionize and fight for freedom, justice, and equality for our people, because we was coming up in a racist time and during the 50s and 60s. Where racism was an all-time high, especially for black men. So it was hard for black people to really get some work and really to get some kind of support from anywhere in the world. The black man was demonized through this racism and this white supremacist system. So Conrad George and brothers like that made them formulate close and align themselves with people like the the Black Panther Party, because they was the only one that's speaking out for our people and the plight of our people and to protect our people. We was really protected under these leaders, and these are the people that should be honored and celebrated, not no damn Martin Luther King. I'm sorry. He led us right into a burning building. Of course, everybody know that, they don't want to admit it, but it is what it is. He served his purpose for his time. But I'm a revolutionary guy. I like to support the revolutionaries because they willing to die for what they believe in, and they willing to put everything on the line for a just cause, even if it means giving their life. And that's what these brothers did. Getting back to George Jackson. George Jackson, he went to prison back in the 60s, I believe. He robbed a gas station for $70. But it was so hard back there for a black man to eat, so it took a lot of courage and balls to go and rob a white establishment back then. You know what I mean? You know, that was like instant death. But anyway, he got arrested. They sentenced him to a year to life. That was his sentence for a robbery for $70 back in the day. A year to life. It was kind of common, but that was a lot for him for that, for $70. But anyway, he was in jail. He became a black prison activist, still fighting for his people, still for the upliftment of his people, for freedom, justice, and equality. That was his mission. That was his motive. Fast forward up to 10 years, 1970. It was a riot in the jail. A officer got killed in the line of fire. The officer got stabbed, I guess, and he must have passed. George Jackson was charged for it. Him and his 2 rap buddies, Fleta Munga and John Couchette. They was his Soul Dad brother. But anyway, without dragging on, he wrote a book. George Jackson wrote a book while he was in that prison up in Soul Dad in San Quentin, called Prison Letters. Soul Dad Brothers Prison Letters by George Jackson. These letters touched my soul. When I had 70 years and I was in that cell, I couldn't help but to identify with the pain and the stuff he was going through, because he was in solitary confinement when he wrote those prison letters. And he wrote those from some of the darkest places of his life and what he was going through. So that's why I could identify with Conrad George at that time when he was going through it. And anybody that read those pages will identify with the plight that he went through. So anyway, while he was in there, that police got killed. So when he was going on trial for the murder for the officer that got killed, that he was accused of killing, him and his rap buddies, his little brother John Jackson, he was 17. He came up in the courthouse and shot the courthouse up and tried to shoot his brother to freedom. It didn't turn out well. Young Jackson died. John Jackson died, and a judge died, and 2 other people died in that melee. And this was in the month of August the 7th, 1971, 4 years before I was born. And then in that same month, a couple weeks later, Conrad George was shot by a sniper rifle from the prison guard, saying he tried to escape. It was always speculation, but they really assassinated him because he led the revolt. And his brother did what he did in that courthouse to try to free his brother. So that was like a retaliation of them against the BGF. But like I said, BGF is not a gang. It was a revolutionary movement. It was a black organization to help liberate and free our people, to make sure that we got equal rights and equal justice. That's what Black August and that's what Conrad George and them represented when they created Black Guerrilla Family, which was an extension of the Black Panther Party. So don't never let nobody demonize that term. It's been watered down and misused nowadays, but that's an extension of the Black Panther Party, and it was for good and the upliftment of our people. So on this day, I just want to salute Comrade George. I want to give a big shout out to the death and the anniversary of his young brother John Jackson, because he was 17 years old, went up in there, man, blazing, trying to get his brother free. That's a revolutionary act to me. And on that, that's worth being celebrated. They my hero. Salute.